Hello everyone, I'm Heather Colling, and today we're going to go over another printmaker. We are going to discuss and learn about Jose Guadalupe Posada. He's known as the father of Mexican printmaking. He is a well-known contributor, as we'll find out, to not just the printmaking world, but also to Mexico's history, heritage, and symbols that are used. So who exactly is Jose Guadalupe? So Posada. He was born in February 2nd, 1852, in, excuse my Spanish, Agua Calientes, Mexico. By 15, he was a registered painter, so he painted as being a professional. By 19, he began working at an Jose Pedrosa print workshop. He learned lithography there and engraving, which are two different types of printmaking. In 1871, he actually got to do his first lithographic political cartoon in Pedrosa's El Quijote, which is the Wasp. And from there, we had that let me back up just a little bit. So he got to do this even when he was in his 19 years old is when he first made his first one. So things were going well. He was helping Pedrosa, and then Pedrosa got little scared. He moved to Leon out of fear because of the retribution of his political context in his publications. So he would sometimes wouldn't always be see the best light of these figures. The war was going on, the revolution was going on during Mexico. So if you're not painted in a nice light, then people want to stop it, which is understandable. So then he decided to move. Posada went with him, and then Pedrosa left Posada in charge. So he was running basically a full-time print shop all by himself in his early 20s, I think 21, maybe 22. Unfortunately, the workshop got flooded in 1888. He decided to move to Mexico City as a chief illustrator for Antonio Arroyo. This is where they would do publications, and it would be in Mexico and Spanish-speaking parts of the U.S. This is where they would create leaflets with the political cartoons on them. He would have these political cartoons primarily as an image. Sometimes they would have some wording on them, but what was nice about it being as an image was that not everybody was literate, but they could see the photo and interpret it and see the message behind it. And it was kind of a really easy way to distribute information fast, was in print form. So he also married Maria de Jesus Villa in 1875, and they had one son, Juan Sabino Posada. So the different types of art that Posada did was not just in this printmaking workshop for political cartoons. He also did advertising for companies, religious images for churches, illustrations or for posters, flyers, brochures, books, printing house, religious publications. And he did this usually by lithography, etching, and relief printing. So he's most known for his calaveras, or the skeletons. He printed lithographs or engravings of skeletons and skulls to depict satire and to criticize political and social climate in Mexico. And even though it started off as to help bring awareness about the political things that were going on, the corruption that was going on, it's kind of been retaken and really celebrated in Mexican culture. It's helped contributed a lot to Dias de los Muertos, the Day of the Dead, by making the skeletons and the skulls really popular. And it helps remind people that no matter who we are, rich or poor or death is something that we all have in common. And it's more of a use of a celebration for that we see the skulls now for Day of the Dead. And then after Posada's death, his most famous one is La Calavera Catrina, and it was to critique the indigenous Mexicans elites who had rejected their heritage for Europeans and to go so far as to look and dress like them. So they started to wear their clothing and have the hats that were kind of elaborate for that time period in Europe. So this was his most well-known one, and it became popular after his death, like I said, in 1913. The perspective has changed and being celebrated. And then even though he achieved high productivity, he did thousands of leaflets, thousands of prints. He didn't get much fame from it or fortune, and he passed away with little notice. He's buried in a common grave in Dolores Cemetery in Mexico City, but his artwork lives on It also helped inspire artists like Diego Rivera, Jean Charlotte, Esther Hernandez, and then we're going to take a look at a couple of his printing plates. So here we have a printing plate. After the process of making the plate, basically to make a print, you're going to ink it up, put a piece of paper on top, and then run it through a press, take the paper off, and this is what the image we get. And you can see on this one as well. And then I think I have one more example to show. This one right here. So it's kind of really neat that they still have these plates that he made back in the I think it was the 1800s. Up until early 1900s. Well, thank you for listening. I appreciate it. And we'll go over another printmaker soon. Have a good day.